Esa Banton in a collaboration with Skinny Fabulous and Mr. Killer. Do What You Want. Interestingly, Asa is a co-writer of that song as well. So big respect to you, Asa. You're a thinking artist. You're going far. And I think this song can be a huge song in the region. I see it playing throughout the Caribbean, throughout the world. And a lot of the flavor in that song, I think, comes from your style of music, Bouillon, Dominica's music, Bouillon. And I just can't understand the sense in the collaboration, with Mr. Killer and Skinny Fabulous. It's just wisdom personified, marketability, wise, brilliant. And I wish people could take a page from that, not just musicians, but politicians too, When you collaborate and you come together, man, there is so much strength, man. And I see this going far, far, far. Skinny, a big one. That one dropped last week. As you know, we following your trail on this program. Where on earth is Asa? And we continue to follow your trail because you're not just working for Asa. You're not just working for Kwabi. You're working for Dominica. You're keeping our flag flying high. And the best we can do on this program, the hour, is to follow your track as you travel the world. So this is hot from the press. Issa Banton, Skinny Fabulous, and Mr. Killer, Do What You Want. You'll see and hear the entire song after this segment on Issa, so stick around if you want to see the entire song. In fact, stick around for everything that we have to offer on this program, because right after the Issa section, we have a section on power in Dominica, how the structure of power actually operates. And right after that, we have a little promo for a book that's coming up, the first book in a series of books coming up on Dame Eugenia. You really want to be here for the entire program today. So big up to you, Asa Banton. Nice to be following your trail. It's difficult to follow you because you're kind of a fluid, but we are doing all we can to keep track, to keep up. And so far, with my producer, Carlos, and the other team of individuals that I have working with the program, we have been able to follow you through Asa. And we know you were in Antigua on Sunday. When we spoke on Sunday, we said that we followed you to Antigua. You had just come from Grenada. We didn't get footage at the time on Sunday, but we have it now, Asa. So we're going to drop to show you where Asa was and what happened in Antigua. And after this video, we're going to tell you where Asa is and what he did last night. Let's not show more. And to me, I find that young lady who did the split looking like my niece. I have to look at that video again, because if that's my niece, I'm gonna delete that program after. Now I wouldn't do that. Yeah, but she looks like my beautiful niece, and wow, Asa Banton in Antigua. Following that trip to Antigua, Asa flew back to Dominica. And he has been in Dominica for like the better part of a week. In fact, Asa remained in Dominica and he performed this weekend in Tukari. And I'm going to tell a little bit about the fete and probably some of the misbehaving that Asa did. No misbehaving. A little bit of the mashup that Asa did. But somehow Asa, I think in a long time, has spent a few days in Dominica, because Asa do not spend more than 2-3 days in Dominica. We know where he's going next, but we know he has been in DA for a little while. I'm not too sure whether he was asked by his authorities, the authorities, because Asa has no boss. Asa is an independent actor, but he's an ambassador. He works for the government as an ambassador. So probably the prime minister or somebody say, Asa, you've been traveling too much. You need to stay back and do some work on the ground, as a real ambassador should. So Asa has been down. He has been promoting Breakfast Fete. We'll speak a bit more about that closer to the fete. And he performed in Tukari last night. We're going to show you the flyer, which showed where he was going to be. And hopefully some footage too. We'll see how that works. But if not, I have a lot to tell you about the event in Tukari. So let's now talk about Asa's continued journey with Bouillon Music. So he was part of the Fête Saint Anthony, which is the patron saint of the feast that was held in Tukari annually. And what's interesting about this particular fete it actually brings a number of way of life together, because Tukari is a hustling, bustling community in the north, which is very rich for fishing, farming, leisure, which includes tourism, because leisure goes with tourism and entertainment and hospitality. It's a northern community that is very well placed, very neat. It's unique and different from every other Dominican community. And I was part of that Fete Tukari, back in the day when I was on radio in Dominica, and I would have hosted many of these fetes. So this fete was on, and interestingly, there was a gentleman who received an award. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he is related to Carlos. Carlos's grandfather, if I'm not mistaken. And he received an award for service to agriculture. His name is Mr. Francois Roll Victor, aka Whoop. Here's the handsome young man. And he received an award for lifelong service in agriculture in the community of Tukari. And I wanted to highlight him, not because he's Carlos's grandfather, well, that's true, but because he has worked, and he's a gentleman, based on my research, who has really excelled in farming and who has maintained as an original person from the community, beginning of the community in many ways. So congratulations to you, Whoop, and to your entire family. I just wanted to tie in your contribution and your awards together with our Where on Earth is Asa segment, because we know Asa performed in Tukari, and as part of the celebration, there was an award ceremony put on by the church, and you have been awarded, and you are quite deserving of this award, Whoop. We hope that you have another 50 years that you can give us in farming, and please do train the young people from Tukari when it comes to farming and every other skill that you have. Congratulations to you, your family. I should mention the good doctor as well, because I actually stole from her post that she did earlier of the presentation and of the awards that Whoop received. So the good Dr. Triffy, enough respect to you. I'm afraid to tell you I love you, because Chris Bugun always want to put more to the love that I have for you. So I wouldn't say it, but you continue to inspire, you continue to do your stuff, and I want to commend you and your family on the award of Whoop, Mr. Francois Roll Victor, for being honored by the church in Tukari at the Fete Saint Anthony this weekend. And that kind of brings our curtain down on Asa Banton as we continue to follow Asa. So we don't just speak about the music and show you the dancing and what Asa does. We also give you some context to tie into what Asa did on his journeys around the world with Bunyo music. And to bring the curtain down on this section, we're going to play the entire video that you saw the clip for a while ago, and stand by later towards the end to see Asa in action on this combination with Skinny Banton, Mr. Killer, and Asa Banton, the Bunyo boss from Dominica.
Show me what you can do. Show me the majesty Show me the baddest thing you can do. None of them no madder than you. Everything get mashed up. You might get wet and wash up. So many try to do it like we, but they cannot catch up. Look at the girls on the chin chop. I like the one with the pink top. Yeah, she's sweet like a ring pop. Come down for the road, let me link up. Watch how she whine and cock up. Then over and TikTok. Roll on time like a big clock. At the back of the big truck. Spin go down and back up. Put more rum in my cup. And if the promoter see, keep pouring the song. Do what you want. Go, 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 go. Do what you want. Go, 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 ladies. And if you feel like mash up, you feel mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up. Feel like mash up your feet. Mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up. Take your stop, yo. Come on, come on. Can do what you want. Can do what you want. Anything that you want. Can do what you want. Can do what you want. Can do what you want. Anything that you want. Do what you want.
Hello? Hi. I would really like to give some trouble.
Bang, bang.
Okay, so that's it, guys. I remember the last time I looked at a track like that. I said that track is going to go places, and it actually did go. I mean, nobody doubted that family, produced in Dominica by Dada, which featured the conch shell man of Maho, Marshall himself, and Skilly, fabulous. No one doubted that this song would have gone to make it big on the road. I think that song won the road match in Trinidad. Bouillon, Dominica. And Asadas continues the tradition with this one that he co-wrote. That's the significant thing. He part-owned that song intellectually. Asa, you is our boss. And he did the climaxing part of the song. That to me is the hype of it all. So Skinny, Killer, Asa, big respect. You respect the music, you respect the music, you big up the bouillon, and you have taken bouillon to the world. So Asa, you continue to do your stuff, we continue to follow you. Enough respect to you. When you go through, Dominica go through. Interesting. And again, I said before that collaboration is a very important thing. When we're in business, we have to learn how to collaborate. That's how the Chinese, quiet, get through. When the Chinese business people do things, they order together in one container. So they pay one container and everybody get their stuff. Me and Dominic Nuka try fair pack on mem. We want to do our own container, ourselves, our own barrel, our own container. Come together. Contact Emil the Putter, who has his business, and let us all put together and do a container. Let Emil ship that. So Emil make money, we make money, everybody good. We have to collaborate, we have to come together. Make it happen. So I want to big up one time Miguel and Danger Dane. I should say Miguel Labadie, Dr. Miggs. And then our Dominican, that Jamaica thing, do put that when you're talking about Dane. Dane is a Dominican. He was maybe born in Jamaica since maybe 1946. Dane, I'm just messing with you, man. You're a youth. So Dane and Miguel, the last I checked, they had beef. Public scandal. Dane and Miguel fighting over a date for an event. Go Puelan problems. Soca meets reggae. Anyway, so I felt that, boy, look at that, no boy, two young fellas doing so well. The man can, why they have to fight? That's the last I checked, This time around, I hear in a thing called Mad. And when I watch, I see this Dane and Miguel, who found the magic, even they had a fallout, but to put a mad events together. And that's going to be a big event on the calendar of Dominica's Entertainment. And they have launched it, I think, yesterday or the day before. So guys, Mad is the result of a collaboration between two guys who seemed to be at odds, and probably they were, because it's business. But the better part of business is to learn to work with the people who you see as your rival. My God, and what perfect lesson for us, those of us who are trying to do something for Dominica in the politics. What a wonderful segue to move from that into what I'm going to speak about next, which is the structure of power in Dominica. and the politics of power and how one earns it and how one keeps it. So thank you, Migs and Danger Dane. You guys are awesome. You have shown others what it means to put your egos aside, put your differences aside, come up with a blueprint, and you both sign that blueprint. That is the answer to the political fallout in Dominica, not just on the not only on the side in government, no, in majority, no, on the minority side, which is the majority side. You know, the minority political view in Dominica is the majority of people. Yes, the other side may have gotten the majority votes and seats, but I think more people in Dominica would want to see something different. But it's how we going to package that to them and give that to them so they can say, okay. And that is the ingredient that is missing. I've been saying so for the longest while. To the point that people think I'm begging. I'm begging. No, I'm not begging a thing. I do not want anything from any man, woman, or child. I have what God has blessed me with, and what I do not have, I accept. I don't intend to get power to get what I am benefiting from. I don't need power for that. I just want us to change the way things have been done. It cannot be for 25 years we cannot find a way to beat that party that's the majority party in the office in the politics of Dominica. And I mean, I have seen too many evidence that suggests that they can be beaten. And the last thing I'll say before I talk about the distribution of power and the structure of power is that I hear some seem to be promoting an ideal or a way, or the only way forward for Dominica is violence and protests and destruction of whatever it is to change the government. And I have said no, that is not going to be the answer. It can be, but it doesn't have to be. There are other ways, more ways than one, that can be employed. And if they are employed and fail, I understand, but they have not been employed. So my call is for us to find solutions, not to create problems, then to find solutions. Let's find solutions. And I think we can find a solution to replacing the Dominican governing authority easier than we imagine if we learn to do what Miguel and Dean just did with their collaboration. And I wish them well. I hope they make a lot of money at this mad event. I feel they'll make money. And let's see how that ends. So that's my second segment, guys. And I'm going to do the last segment now. Well, no, the third segment. And then I have the fourth segment, which is the book that we're doing. So the third segment has to do with the structure of power in Dominica. And I remember some time ago, when I look at my production, I just smile at my production. That's a big production we're doing then. Carlos boy. Anyway. So when I used to do a program on radio when I was a bit more received by some on radio called Politics and Power. So I actually patented that sign, that design, at least as is presented, because people can use politics and power anyhow, but that thing is kind of secured by me. So I did this program for a while where I spoke about politics, and I defined politics as a concept and power as a concept, and I showed the difference between the two on radio, and this was huge. And I want to thank Mr. G for allowing me the outlets. This was huge. Many people would call me and say, I'm enjoying this, I'm learning. Children would tell them, well, parents would tell me that their students and their children would listen to that program. But things change, and I'm not doing the program anymore now, and maybe I might do it again later, or maybe you might see something emerge later on, but for now, it's not been done. And I just felt today I should speak a little bit about the organization of power, the structure of power in Dominica. And then I'll make some comments about it later on. And in terms of the governing power of Dominica, the elected officials are the ones who control the entire power apparatus. In America, for instance, you have members of the House of Representative, and you have members of the Senate in the legislature, or you can call it in Parliament or Congress. So what is Parliament in Dominica is Congress in the US, and Parliament everywhere else. So parliamentarians are people who have been elected as representatives in districts. The difference with Dominica and America is that Dominica has representatives, and those representatives elect everybody else. In America, there are representatives, there are senators, there's the executive, the president, and then there's the judiciary. All these have been appointed independently. In Dominica, those people who are representatives elect everybody. And herein lies the problem. Well, not the problem, the challenge. Because the senators, I believe, should be elected independently. If we have 10 senators in Dominica, we should have 10 people running for senator either on either party. So you have representatives and then you have senators. So you have members of districts and senators who are more national. So the members of the district, they will be in the lower house and the senators will be in the upper house. So everybody get elected. But in Dominica, the representatives through the prime minister, who becomes the person most people agree to work with as the head of government, they are the ones who appoint senators. So I think the government side get to appoint 6 and the opposition get to appoint 4. I think those senators should be appointed and should be elected. So I would run for senatorship, and Carlos, whoever else would run, and those who will run for the parties, for instance, Labour, or they call them Labour, could win 6 or 10 or 8, and you win 10. So you have a balance of power, but at least you have a say in what the senators do, in how you speak, in how you make the laws. Mayor Dominic, the people who are elected get to pick the senators who are on the majority, those on the opposition side, those who are elected gets to pick the senators. My call is, we're talking about electoral reform, we should be talking about constitutional reform, because electoral reform is just one little minute part. Yes, it determines who gets into office, but we should reform the entire system of how things are done. Agriculture, the economy, the constitution, everything should be reformed in addition to electoral reform. Because if you reform election now and you didn't reform the other sectors, I think the reform that we're getting is just to help the party that has been winning to continue to win, especially the way it was done. So I'm not against it. I think it's cool. There is a meeting planned for Thursday, I think, for the reports to be given to parties. The party that I'm associated with, TUD, will be represented, I would imagine, and we will get the report and see what it says. But I'm going to show you a circular. No, I'll show that to you after. I'll show that to you after. Let me just continue to explain to you how the power thing is done. Then I'll show you a circular that speaks about what it is that the people who did the report are going to do to present the report to the public. So you have so far understood that it is the representatives who are elected who select everybody. They select the senators, they select the president. Can you imagine that? The president should be someone who's elected by us, the people. And again, you could have 2 candidates or 3. You could have an independent presidential candidate. You could have a party for that party, a party for that party. Freedom Party could do one TUD. Whoever wins becomes the president. But no, the people who are elected by the people are the ones who elect the president, nominated by the prime minister and accepted based on vote in the parliament. Our president should be based on the change of the constitution, elected by the people. So all this game about electoral reform is just a game for the side that did it to continue to win, because the other side in the opposition didn't do much about reform. Most of what was said was not he did. So I'm telling you guys, the reform we're going to get, the laws we're going to get is going to favor the party that has been winning. I guarantee you that. So those who have been saying reform, now when you get it, I hope you stop saying that and say something else. Because you may very well find that what you ask for will be used to hurt you when it comes to power. Because what else? You put all your eggs in one basket. You even failed to contest the last election because of that. So when you get it, what is going to be the answer? It's like we don't think ahead of time before we take action. And then when it happens, we say something else. And before you know it, time is passing. Another 10 years is passing, 50 years is passing, 40 years. And advantage continues to be on the side of those people who think strategically and probably do unfair tactics, but that's the nature of power. So the people who are elected, the people who are in power, the people who have been declared as winners are the ones who decide what happened. So if you want to decide what happened, you have to try to have your team in office. especially in Parliament, certainly in Parliament. I've never known it to be a situation where people in power give up power. Never. Even if they have to make noise while they're in power and change their tongue and say, well, I'm going there because of what? But they do it. You don't just surrender power to protest power. But when you surrender power to protest power, what can you protest? You have no power. So the only party in Parliament in Dominica today is the party that is known as the Labour Party. There's no other party in Parliament. None. And when the bills that will be presented to support the electoral reform are tabled in Parliament, how are you going to have a voice if TUD is not in the Parliament? At least TUD made the efforts to get there. TUD didn't get there, but at least the records will show that TUD tried. Because foresight and visionary thinking tell us that you need to try to have a presence, because you know reform is going to eventually come. Why would you not be there when reform comes so you can have a high seat in Parliament to discuss it? So I'm going to show you a circular that the administration has sent out about the reform. And I'm going to highlight a few things on it just before we get to the end of that section to show you where, if you, me, us are not in Parliament, or we really have not much of a say, we can fight, we can protest, we can block roads, but that is actions that can be quelled by power. And who has the power? Those who have the power. So let's look at this document. I think it's a release that was put out that spoke about what it is that the government intends to do. And as I said before, reform should not be a government thing, it should be a people thing, and everybody should be involved. I don't think everybody was involved in the way that they should have been. So I really do not hold much hope as to the final content of the report. But this is official. This is carrying the seal of the government of Dominica, the office of the Prime Minister, the highest elected office. This is sacrosanct. That's what the international world is going to watch and say, okay, well, so what's the problem now? So the office of the Prime Minister is declaring that in their ongoing quest to be open and transparent, reports or copies of Sir Byron's report, which has been presented to the Prime Minister, will be made available to parties. First of all, to parliamentarians. So the two independent workers candidates will get, and members, senators, I guess. No, MPs, not senators. And the senators that they appointed to will get, with their parliamentarians too. And then people like us will get, the UWP Freedom will get. But nobody is in a better position in terms of in the opposition parties in Dominica as we speak. In fact, guys, if there is a party right now that has a little advantage now, it would have been TUD, because TUD contested and they are gazetted to have contested. There are some votes that were casted for them. So in terms of the documentation officially, it's TUD. I'm not saying that they are more popular or they have more support than anybody else. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that based on formalities, the party is there. And I hope that when the Prime Minister is giving reports, he gives TUD first, because we contested against him. And we didn't get a lot of votes, but at least we got many Dominicans who went out there and vote. And I'm saying so because I'm part of the TUD movement, so I can say we. And again, TUD is carrying this program live in exchange of the program that TUD does on a Sunday, so I can say that. I have no ambiguity and of hiding. I have an allegiance when it comes to the politics of Dominica, but that allegiance does not blind me from speaking things according to how they should be spoken. Because TUD is about bringing people together and bringing sides together. So more love, anybody who wants to join. Not just the party, but the movement. So in that document, the Office of the Prime Minister suggesting that a draft House of Assembly elections bill will be presented, as well as a draft House of Assembly electors registration 223 will be presented, and the draft House of Assembly election petition rules number 2023 will be presented, and the draft Electoral Commission bill 2020 will be presented, 2023 will be presented, in keeping with the Prime Minister's commitment to make this thing publicly. I mean, that language is so, well, I guess, carefully written, that very few people can point fingers at the office of the Prime Minister. But what is more damning is that there are 4 or 5 bills that are going to be presented. Who is going to speak on those bills and object and have an input? Yes, there's going to be consultations, yes, but what is that going to change if you're not in Parliament? Oh Lord, I wish Carlos had won his seat in Parliament today. But maybe later on. So I think, and I'll go back again before I end and say that the decision that whomever made not to contest the last election may have been made based on grounds of ethics and morality and emotion, whatever. But when it comes to strict, reasoned political reason why we should or not, I think those of us who did not contest missed an opportunity to at least get more people elected in opposition to what is happening now. Because God knows the 2 members of the independent UWP group who are in Parliament now and their senators do not stand a better chance than, let's say, a full party would have stood fighting back against the intention. Again, that is going to become law. And when that becomes law, who can say no? It is going to become law. Based on what I observed, the party in power did generally what they should do to try and present it. Yes, I don't think it is fair. No, it's not. I said so before. But this thing was properly arranged. It is fixed. And the fix is in. The fix will become law. And when it becomes law, no matter what you say, what you do, you have to change the law for it not to be the law. And you have to be in office to change the law. So, guys, I am disappointed that we do not have a full party in the Parliament fighting this thing, represented against this thing. And it goes back to the idea that we had, the suggestion that I gave, that some castigated me for, that we must think futuristically when we make political decisions. And I'm almost sure that most parties, if not all, because I'm not part of a party, TUD is not a party, it's a movement that is geared at doing progress. When they do their campaigning and they take decisions, it is based on their party's best interest, not the country's best interest. Because I couldn't see what was in Dominica's best interest for our party not to contest against this party that has been ruling Dominica for so long and not doing a very good job at it. Yes, they're taking care of their people, they're doing certain things, but they're tired. It has been there for a while, and as someone who speaks objectively on both sides, I think it's time probably that we should have had a change of guards at the helm of power. But power works in a very interesting way. The people who are elected to office and have the power, they are going to change things and do things. So the people who are in there are doing what they have to do. And nothing can be done about what they're doing because they are the ones who control power. That's how power works in Dominica. Not shouting and going on social media and méprising and talking about secrets and calling Dominicans name. That's not power. I don't know what it is. But the idea of power is find yourself there, get elected, get the nod from the people, and fight for the people. There was a time when Mike Douglas was the only person elected to represent the Labour Party in government. Did Mike say, I'm not going to go because, no, Mike was angry at what the other side was doing, but Mike kept on going. He kept on going. And that's what I think, that is the missing ingredient in opposition politics in Dominica. I'm not calling any party name. So don't go and say Alex criticizing party. I have my freedom of speech. I have my right to analyze things. And I think I've done a credible job every time I tried my best. And yes, I claim that I have a partisan leaning, but not maliciously so. Because whenever I speak, I try to be objective with the speech that I gave. And that would have to be my little take on the distribution of power, how the power structure in Dominica works, which is different from other democracies. I think all the Caribbean democracies pretty much are the same. And this model was given to us by England. And the party in the majority in Dominica now can change all of that. With 19 seats in the parliament, they can change the constitution. So change it. Let us lead at least in one way in the Caribbean. Change the way we do elections. We should have due dates and publish dates for election. So every 5 years, we know election is going to be on November 1. And all parties prepare for that. You can't be preparing and having the benefits to call it a snap election and win it every time. So let us reform. And again, that will be your legacy, Mr. Government of Dominica. Use your very strong mandate right now to have a reform of the Constitution. How we elect our people, how we choose the time and date for elections, which should not be a prime minister thing when they want. It should be a standard thing. So we know election is on that month in every 5 years, and all parties have a fair chance. It will work better for your party too, because you're in power, you'll do whatever you have to do. But those people who are not in power will at least stand a chance to at least look like something. When we do not have not even 10 cents to look like something next to you, it's unfair. That's not a democracy. That is an autocracy cloaked with a democracy clothing. So you have the mandate, you have 19 states, reform the way in which things are done. At least you'll have a legacy to go live with. Because so far, I do not see a legacy for you. People can fool you and tell you, yes, so you did that. No. A legacy is something that cannot be changed. Only you that could have done it. So the former Prime Minister of Dominica and the Prime Minister before him and others have their legacy, and I will speak about it later on. But I do not see one for you as yet. So give yourself one, reform the Constitution, change the way government is being done in Dominica, and that goes down as a legacy of yours. Give us fixed dates for election. Clean the entire voter list. That act you're going to pass that will see people who are living overseas can vote and all of that nonsense. You can do that if you want. That's on you. But let it be a residential thing. If I want to vote in Dominica and I want to go on the list, I should go Dominica and get on the list. Trying to make it possible to people. All that doesn't make sense. Or let everybody vote, with the exception of the citizens who got their citizenship by investment. If they live in Dominica, maybe, but they cannot vote if they're not in Dominica. But every Dominican, if you want to make it so, do it. But they must pay taxes. So let's stop fixing that thing to benefit you and the people that support you. So if you're going to do a standard, all Dominicans, if you want to vote, come to Dominica register, go to the Inland Revenue, put your whatever, pay tax Inland Revenue, pay contribution to Social Security. But you must come to Dominica to make those things directly with the companies. Let them give you a standing deduction that comes from your workplace in America. You contribute, you can get a ballot, you can vote. Something like that. So you make it fair. But I'm not too sure what the bill is saying, but I hold in my nose on that. Because if I understand how the thing of power works, and if it is that team in power that orchestrated this reform thing, it is not going to be balanced and fair. And I commend the UWP for fighting, but I also tell them I'm not too sure whether not being in parliament to fight today is the best decision, but maybe they know best, and we'll see the wisdom in the decision not to be in parliament. But anyway, they have two people anyway. The two independent candidates are their candidates anyway, so who do you think they're fooling anyway? All right. So that's my statement in terms of the power. I dealt with that and how power works, and I hope that the young people who will be viewing this program will understand the concept and construct of power, and would probably get involved in the power process. And as I continue to reiterate, I do not think the best way to gain power, you do not gain power by uprising, uproar. People have gained power like that in the past and then had it legitimized by calling elections. That is okay if you want to do that, but Dominica has gone past that stage. I think if we do what we have to do and get a serious team in place of people who understand what they're doing, this government, this party that's in power can be unceremoniously voted out of office easily. But it has to be done, and people have to decide to come together like Miguel and Danger Dane and get it done. Until such time, I think that party in power is going to be in power for a while. And that is my take in terms of the structure of power in Dominica. Finally, guys, before we leave, I want to tell you a little bit about my book that has been a quarter century in the making. Dame Eugenia Unedited. An interview that I did with the Dame in 1999. an interview which you will get in its entirety, the transcription, the text, and the audio. And when you hear what conversation I had with the dame and what she said about Dominica's politics, a lot of you will say, "Boy, Alex, if you had that all along, why didn't you drop that?" And it will show you that I'm not a malicious person. I'm not vindictive. I don't dwell to get into power. In fact, I have no desire for power, contrary to what some try to paint of me. No desire. I'm an educator. That's what I want to be. I'm not saying that nothing changes in life, but for now, no desire. I'm not even pretending in any way. I don't want it. If I wanted it, I would have been in power today by doing the things that people said that I was doing. But I do not want to take any chances to do things the way that things should not be done. So tomorrow, when you see, you can say, "Oh, Alex, do that." I'm not going to cut no deals to promise nobody anything when I get into power, because that has a way of ricocheting and coming back to hurt people. And if I wanted to be in power today, I could have been in power today. So help my God. I have no desire for power, but I want to see things change. So the book on Eugenia, Dame Eugenia, unedited, is coming, guys, in paperback, audio, etc. The works. I am very pleased. I have now gone over the fifth final draft. That's going to be the sixth final draft, and many drafts before that. And that book is coming sooner rather than later. It is going to be the first book in a series of books that I'm going to be doing on the legacy of the leaders of our country, political leaders. Dame Jr. first, Patrick John second. Back to back. Patrick is almost ready to go. Dame Jr. is almost cooked. So I can tell you to look out for it. I will continue to share little texts from the book by way of promotion. But I'm so pleased that I was able to speak with Dame Jr. the last full-length interview she did. And it is really promising to be a good read. I really hope many of you purchase the book when it comes out and to look at it, study it, because she had a lot to say about the politics. Some of it which has already materialized and some which are still happening. So let me just share a little text from the book, maybe just one little text. And then may I do some posts in between as well. But that's a text taken from one of the pages of the books where I asked the dame a question. I think the question was about the protest, 1979. And she responded, and we had some exchanges about that. So that is how the book is going to be presented. And there's editorial, well, there's no editing. So how the language was said is so it is written. Exactly. And there's introduction, there's a forward to the book. Wait until you see who wrote the forward to the book. There is the analysis that the author makes following the discussion in the book, and the discussion about the legacy. What really is a political legacy? Can anything be a political legacy? No, it has to be some unchangeable elements that you would have done that change the lives of people permanently, and no one person or government or party can change that thing that you did. And we will see what was Dame Eugenia's legacy based on the book. We will see what was Patrick John's legacy, what was Edison James' legacy, what was Rose's and Pero legacy, if they actually served long enough to have one. We will see what was Libland's legacy. We'll see what Mr. Edison James' legacy. I spoke about it as well. We're not doing anything on OJ because he was not an elected member, leader. He was interim. We make reference to him in Patrick John's book, but a full book will not be written on him. But certainly, guys, we're excited. This is coming. Dame Jr. unedited is coming to a bookshelf near you. It is really, really a big deal. So if I should say so myself, I'm really, really proud to be part of this product and also to be part of the Political Leaders Legacy series. And Dame Jr. will be the first book in that series. And that series expects to stretch for over a few years. And I'm just so pumped and excited about this. I'm so blessed to have been able to speak to the dame, and we're going to publish that sometime soon. So that's my program, guys. I hope you had some fun. I'm not too sure whether we have any questions from anybody. I will see whether there are any on my end, and if the producers see any, they can share it as well. But if there are no questions, man, I'm ready to roll. Let me have a quick look. Mhm. All right. Let me see if we have any. No. Okay, we have a few viewers, but no question directly to me for my response. So, guys, that's okay. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for tuning in. We're happy that you're here. We hope that you share the program, speak about our discussion. I don't expect hundreds of people to be here on a Sunday, but if one person is here, that's enough. And I know many people do not come live, but they view the program after. And this is going to make sense to people who want to be part in the political process, especially the younger people who are not as partisan and as polarized as too many are in the political system in Dominica. So thanks again. And I'm looking forward to sharing and engaging with you next week Sunday. I am going to leave you with that song of Issa, Skinny and Killer again. Enjoy it until I see you guys next week Sunday.
Well, if you want to mash up this stars, they can't stop you. Do what you want. Go, 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 do it. Go, 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 go. Do what you want. Go, 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 go. And if you feel like mash up your free, show me what you can do. Show me the maddest thing you can do. Show me the crazy thing you can do. It's my people thing with us do. Why? Anything you can do. Show me the maddest thing you can do. Show me the maddest thing you can do. None of them no madder than you. Drop the belt if you want. Drunk your friends if you want. Start to shell if you want. Give them hell if you want to. Drink them if you want. Tumble down if you want. Burn it down if you want. Break it down if you want to. Wine a girl if you want. Climb a girl if you want. Make shit and over. Rock the spine if you want. Beach and girl love it rough. Vintage girl love it hard. Booyah girl love it anyhow. So right now, do what you want. Go, 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 go. Do what you want. Go, go, hey, hey, go. And if you feel like mash up your free, show me what you can do. Show me the maddest thing you can do. Show me the crazy thing you can do. It's my people thing with us do. Why? Anything you can do. Show me the maddest thing you can do. Show me the maddest thing you can do. None of them no madder than you. Everything get mashed up. You might get wet and wash up. So many try to do it like we, but they cannot catch up. Look at these girls on the chin chop. I like the one with the pink top. Yeah, she's sweet like a ring pop. Come down for the road, let me link up. Watch how she whine and cock up. Then over and TikTok. Roll on same like a big clock. At the back of the big truck. Spin go down and back up. Put more rum in my cup. And if the promoter see, keep pouring the stuff. Do what you want. Go, 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 go. Do what you want. Go, 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 ladies. And if you feel like mash up, you free. Mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up. Feel like mash up your feet. Mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up, mash up. They can't stop you. Come on, come on. Get do what you want. Get do what you want. Anything that you want. Get do what you want. Get do what you want. Get do what you want. Anything that you want. Do what you want.
Hello? Hi. I would really like to give some trouble.